All right, welcome to Spike Kool-Aid for Tuesday. I'm lost in the days. No, today's Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. Wednesday, that's right, because the new league week begins today. Wednesday, November the 16th, 2022. Hope everybody is having a great day thus far. Great day at work. Great day at home. Great day doing whatever you're doing. We got some stuff to talk about today with our Detroit Lions. Now, we're only going to be on an hour, so don't forget. 2 to 3. A lot of stuff to talk about today. Listen, I want to say something, but I'm scared somebody... Uh-oh. You messed up your back? Man, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Poole. I want to say something, but people on YouTube be stealing ideas, bro. And this joint to come out, if I say something, I know it's going to be out there, but it's okay because I originated it. Every year, you know what? Let's get right into it. Mess my back up? Yeah, Mr. Poole, I saw the first one, bro. I hope you get better, man. Ain't nothing like a hurt back, bro. The core of your body, I've messed mine up. Woke up a couple times, and it is not something to play with. So I hope you feel better, my friend. All right, let's do this. Let's get right into it, man. Let some people come in as we go. So coming out from DetroitLions.com, and Dan Campbell has a press conference 2 hours ago, and we finally got some Jameson Williams news. Now, I 100% believe the video I put out yesterday that Jameson Williams was insistent to be activated this week, but it did not happen. Dan Campbell said that it will probably be sometime after Thanksgiving. He said the Jacksonville game or the game after that, which is the Minnesota Vikings. So maybe we'll see J-Mo. So right now, we're looking at 4 games. We're looking at 4 games. So I'm not going to go hard on the Lions. I don't think it's about re-injuring him at all. I just think that they want to see where the team's going to be. That's it. Let me see what this says. Okay, so it's saying my streaming bit rate is lower. Okay, I got to see how I can fix that. My stream bit rate is lower, but I'm using the same settings for all of my streams. So what's up, Nick? What's going on, man? Let me take a picture of this so I can try to work on this later. Because I noticed that these streams take hours to process, and I wonder if that's why. Because the bit rate is lower. But shout out to everybody in chat, man. Make sure y'all come on and say what's up. All right, so listen, let's get right into this thing. What's up, Billy? What's going on, man? All right, so I'm going to say something, but people, like I said earlier, a few minutes ago, people steal ideas on YouTube. That's what it's copycat league. That's what it is. What's up? What's up, Gaddy? What's going on, man? And I'm going to say something because I believe in Eli. No, I believe in numbers. Every year. So that way if somebody takes this, and you know I did it first. When I first got on YouTube, a lot of the same habits, a lot of the same stuff I was doing back then. Same stuff I'm doing now, right? And one of the things that I was doing back then was, one of the very first videos I did was how the Detroit Lions can make the playoffs 2018. Because until we're mathematically eliminated, that's the hope that I have. Now, how real is that hope? I don't know, but it's what I choose to do instead of, mock drafts and all that other nonsense, right? We talked about it all the time about how Lions fans need to decide what they want. Do you want to be talking about the draft, or do you want to be talking about a potential playoff push? Because guess what? When the Lions are mathematically eliminated from playoff contention, the draft, it will become solely about draft. 100%. Solely about draft. Where will the Lions end up? Now, I've heard some rumors as well that Matthew Stafford, that Kelly is not too happy about the situation and that he might sit out the rest of the year. Knowing Matthew, that's probably not going to happen. But I brought him up because right now, the Rams draft pick is higher than ours. But while we're in the season, I want to stay in the season. That's what makes me happy. If it makes you happy to talk about the draft, then talk about the draft. But it makes me happy to hope. It makes me happy. And I'm not getting my hopes up My hopes are reasonable. So this dialogue is preceded by the fact that I'm about to mention something that comes out every year, week 11, and I've been following it for the past 5 years. The playoff predictor, courtesy of ESPN. And I was checking it last night, and it wasn't up because last night was still technically week 10. Wednesday, the new league week begins, and it popped up today. First thing I did when I woke up this morning is I checked it. And the playoff predictor is here. All right. Now, I went through the next 8 weeks exactly how I thought they would play out. And I got some news to report. It's kind of like some good news and some bad news, depending on how you look at it. Right? The Lions, and I'm going to make a video on Detroit Lions Syndicate on Saturday about this. But the Lions, there's no way that this projection that I have is going to happen. Now, let me know in the comments. What do you think? Right? Let me know what you think of what I'm about to tell you. Projected records. There's no way that this is going to happen, but this is how I went through the NFC. And you tell me, when I go through this, you're going to think that actually what we wind up is probably the most reasonable of the bunch. But here you go. The first seed, we can start with the first seed. The first seed, I projected the Philadelphia Eagles based on their competition, solely that, to go 16-1, have the first seed. The number 2 seed, solely based on their competition, is the Minnesota Vikings. And let me see. And we beat them. Wow. We beat them in week 14. The number 3 seed, the San Francisco 49ers. There's no way that this is going to happen, but this is just how I went through. This is solely based off competition. 13-4. That means they won't lose another game. That's not going to happen. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 11-6. Those are the division winners. Going over to the wild card, the 5th seed is the Seattle Seahawks and 11-6. I think they're going to fall off, actually. The 6th seed, Dallas, who is currently sitting at, 6-3 right now, is 11-6, which means they go 5-3 their last 8 games. And coming in at number 7 at 10-6, the Detroit Lions, which means that they have to go 7-1 in their next 8 games. Now, that was just a scenario based off what I do. All right? I don't think it's going to go like that at all. But if the Detroit Lions wind up 7-10, they'll be in. Now, like I said, do I think that's going to happen? I don't think any of this stuff is going to happen. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles are reasonably going to go not lose another game. I don't think that the only team the Minnesota Vikings are going to lose to is us. We might not even beat them. But I just went off the projected schedule that I did. And it was something that was different from before, from my season prediction. Something must have changed because I had the Lions at 9-8. Did I have to change something? I may have to. Nope. That's with the Packers beating us week 18. So if I change it to the Buffalo Bills winning at 9-8, if it goes as I predicted, the Lions don't make it. So it's a lot we're going to get into. And until we're mathematically eliminated, this is something I like to do. So there is a way right now, right? Every team is not eliminated yet, and there is a way because this machine tells me so. Patty says I had Lions going 10-7. Well, based on my projections, at 9-8, the Lions, let me see. See, it's so many different scenarios that you can go with. I just pick one. This is just one. It's like Avengers Endgame. When the timeline splits off, that's what this is. This is just one of probably hundreds, if not thousands, of scenarios that could play out that the Lions can make the playoffs. My whole point of bringing this up is because when I hear people say that we're not going to make the playoffs, it annoys me because mathematically, we can. And that's what I choose to live in. And like I started this segment by saying, if you choose to live in the draft, that's what you choose. I choose to live in the season. Nick says Eagles, Vikings, Niners, Bucks, Cowboys, Seahawks, and Lions. KD says I had him going 9-8 with the late season run. That's exactly what I had. That's exactly what I had. Now, Nick, I like that. I think that the Seahawks are going to fall off. I think the Cowboys are going to fall off. Even though I didn't pick them to fall off, I think they are. This is based off of just what I thought, and I think that both of those teams are going to fall off. I think the Rams are done. We talked about that yesterday. And I think if any team has a chance, it's us. Jeff says, realistically, I see 6 or 7. Jeff, you know what? At this point, bro, that's a win for me. I'm going to be mad, though, because Dan Campbell gave away 2 games. That puts us at 9. And that was my season prediction. So I'm gonna feel a little bit some type of way. I'm gonna keep it a buck. But if we go 7-10, that's over what the experts had us, and that's twice as many wins as we had last year, which is 100% improvement on last year. And as much as it would suck to not be in the dance yet again for the 6th straight year in a row, that is colossal improvement heading into the 2023 year, where we have 2 first-round picks, where we look like we're going to have, for sure, a top 10 pick via the Rams. So let me know what you guys think, man. And like I said, if somebody else started talking about this, you heard it here first. This is my favorite time of year, y'all. It's not that I think the Lions are going to get there. It's the fact that they can. It's the fact that we're talking about this instead of Bryce Young. You understand what I'm saying? It's the fact that we're not, because just think like we talked about yesterday. How miserable would 1-8 be right now? How beautiful would 5-4 be? Excuse me. 5-4 would be fantastic. But 3-6 feels mighty good. 100%. And listen, I think the Lions can do something that they haven't done in a long time. Jeff says, I want to see our rookies keep developing. That's the most important thing to me. Nick says 6-3. Oh, man, that would be even better. Joshua says, no, 97-1 caller still taking a QB. Well, you know what? At this point, man, I'm over talking about it, bro. For the simple fact that, come on, man. But anyway, I thought of something today that I wanted to kind of go over. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like the season is so short, and you don't want to rush through it, right? You don't want to be over. You don't want it to be over, because then we're talking about it, because our season ends in January. And while there are 14 teams competing for a Super Bowl, there are 18 teams cleaning out their lockers, right? So it's like it's a quick season. We spent we blinked our eye, right? And we were playing the Commanders. It's like we took a power nap and we wake up and now we're starting week 11 tomorrow, as a matter of fact, right? So I don't want to rush the season. But could you imagine, man, 7-10, the way that we started after starting 1-6? That means we go 6-4. We go 6-4 our last 10 games, and that would be fantastic. Joseph says, like you said, Derek, playing meaningful games in December feels good. It does, doesn't it? It feels way better than talking about the draft. And I'll tell you what, I had an in-depth conversation with my guy last night, Troxel Sports Talk. And for all of you who listen, like I said in a previous segment, if you don't want to believe or you choose not to indulge in that, I understand. We've all been there. We've had our hopes and dreams crushed. Who would have thought that we would have stepped out and be 1-6? Who would have thought that we would watch our coach give games away? And I don't know who thought Jameson Williams wasn't going to play until the last 4 weeks of the season. David says, Grid, how did you feel about Campbell's interview today when he asked about J-Mo? I felt like today was the first time. This is what I felt like based off that question. I felt like Dan Campbell now has an exact time in mind. He's not going to tell you that, but I feel like that. It was all this time, and we're about a month away. It was all sometime in December. Now it's kind of more focused. And I believe 100% he wanted to get activated today. And we're going to talk about the people that were and what that means for this team. Jeff says, I'll think about the draft when the season is over. I want to see this team competing and improving. Jeff, I respect that, bro. And that's the same way I am. Same way I am. And like I said, we've got literally 10 weeks to think about the draft. 10 weeks to think about the draft. 10 weeks to hear this. Literally mock draft after mock draft after mock draft. And I don't know about y'all, man, but I'm all mocked out. Even though we halfway through the season, I am mocked out. We had everybody from Malik Willis to Kyle Hamilton coming at 2. And the guy that seemed like nobody wanted, Aiden Hutchinson, was the pick all along. We spent 10 weeks of speculation. And then J-Mo comes out and knocks everything out. And listen, Lions fans are ecstatic about this man. My video yesterday is pushing 9K. And it was based off a rumor from an insider, from a source that has a source. That's how excited people are about this man, which means that they're excited about this team because they know the difference. They know the difference between Jameson Williams not being out there or being out there and Tom Kennedy. And I love me some Tom Kennedy. They know the difference. They know what him playing this game means. Now, I tried to warn y'all yesterday. First of all, I was very clear in my video yesterday, so I don't feel bad about that. Very clear. But the man is at least, you have a 21-day window, and we'll get into our next segment after we talk about this. So, when Jameson Williams is activated, it could be up to 3 games, more likely 2, depending on when he's activated, which I'm assuming has to be the new league week. We got to wait at least, I would say at least the second game. What's up, same old Detroit Lions? Says, I'm thinking the Bills will lay an egg and we win an upset on Thanksgiving. Well, look, let's do this. And then we'll go into the segment that I was talking about the folks that came off, not came off IR, but their 21-day clock has started. Now, I was talking to my dude Troxel yesterday in depth about what would keep us alive we have 8 games left. Lions sit at 3 and 6. Like I told y'all, I'm not trying to pump you up. You can choose which timeline you want. Do you want the timeline of talking about the draft, or do you want the timeline of meaningful football in December? And there is only one way we're going to have meaningful football in December. I think one is more likely than the other, but you never know. The next 4 games for the Detroit Lions are the New York Giants this Sunday, 96 hours later at home, the Buffalo Bills. Okay? Then we play the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is part of our 3 home game stand beginning Thursday, the 24th. So a week from tomorrow. Thanksgiving Day. I hope y'all ready for Black Friday shopping. The Detroit Lions have to go 2-2. They must go 2-2 in order to be playing meaningful football down the stretch. Dave says, can 8 wins get you a wild card? I'm sure there's a scenario in the NFC where that pops up. Before you got here, we talked about the NFL playoff predictor, which comes out week 11 every single year. And I love it. And that's what keeps me going. I did a scenario today that the Lions were 10-7. But it was insane. Eagles only had 1 loss. The Niners don't lose again. So none of that stuff is going to happen. Patty says J-Mo might be back the Jacksonville game. Okay, Patty, if that is the case, he's got to be activated next Wednesday. That is a possibility because Dan Campbell said there was no setbacks and that he is on schedule. I think that they are trying to specifically plan a J-Mo, like this is when. So the Lions, for this to be a conversation in 1 month, they must go 2-2. They must go 2-2. Matter of fact, let's do this. So we're discussing how realistic is it for the Lions to make the playoffs. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Feels good. Haven't done that in 2 years. We haven't won 3 games in a row since Jim Caldwell was head coach. We haven't won 7 games since Jim Caldwell was head coach. Dan Campbell has a lot. He's got a big task on his shoulders. 2 road wins after winning none in 13 tries. And you have the potential to win 2 in a row. In order for the Lions to have a shot at the playoffs, currently they sit at 3-6. They have 8 games left. They need to go 2-2. They need to go 2-2. Their next 4 opponents in this order: the New York Giants on the road, the Buffalo Bills at home, the Jacksonville Jaguars at home, and the Minnesota Vikings at home. And we owe them. We owe them. We owe them big time. And I hope Dan Campbell is ready. Not only do we owe them, I mean, we got a little beef with TJ, even though we gave him TJ, but we got a beef because we gave them that game. Jeff Okudah kept Justin Jefferson to 14 yards. 14 yards. Let me ask y'all in the chat, and when you watch this on playback, realistically, Jameson Williams may return by Minnesota. There's a possibility we could see him middle of December. For those of you who celebrate Christmas, maybe that is your early Christmas gift. But realistically, what do you see the Lions going? This is a safe space. You can talk about it here. The Lions need to go 2-2 to have an outside chance. That puts them bare minimum 5-8 with 4 games left. Oak says 2-2. Okay, Oak, give me your 2. Now, as it stands right now, the Lions have an opportunity, realistically, because they haven't lost yet, to go undefeated in the month of November. They could even go 3-1. And I believe if we go 3-1 in the month of November, that has to be one of the best records in the league in November. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. But these next 4 games are crucial to whatever's going to happen the rest of the season. Okay, Dustin says 1-3. All right, so Dustin, who do we beat? And Oak, who do we beat? Again, in this order, it is New York on the road, the Bills at home. We have 3. Don't forget, there are 3 home games out of the next 4. We play 3 of the next 4 at home. And we've been giving teams all they can handle at home. We play our best football at home. Jeff says they could win against the Giants and Jags. They could win the Giants and Jags games. I'm sorry. Giants and Jags we can win against. Now, I'm going to tell you what. I looked at the Giants' schedule and who they've been beating. And I was like, whoa. Remember when the Lions were 1-4, 1-5, and I was one of those people too? Like, what's going on with the Giants rebuild? Why is it ahead of ours? If you look at their schedule, they haven't had that many tough opponents. And in my opinion, y'all know how I feel about Lamar Jackson. Their defense stepped up, meaning the Giants has stepped up when it needed to. But Lamar helped them win that game. And that's a buck. Lamar Jackson helped them win that game. Throws a pick, trying to get it to Mark Andrews. Very similar to Justin Fields last week with the Detroit Lions. And that's taking my Lamar Jackson bias out of it. All right? But if you look at the Giants' opponents, they're not that good. They're not that good. Nick says we lose to the Giants, Bills, Jets, and Packers and beat the Jags, Vikings, Panthers, and Bears. All right, well, that puts us at 7-10. X says, how are we going to beat the Vikings? Why is the roly face, bro? We did beat the Vikings. Dan Campbell lost to the Vikings. I don't understand why that's because Justin Jefferson is a monster? Jeff Okudah held him to 14 yards, man. I just put it like this. In my honest opinion, there is no Goliath in the National Football League. Look at the Eagles. Look at their opposition. Go look at the Eagles' opposition. Go look at the Giants' opposition. It hasn't been that stout. We don't have to stop him twice in one season. What we do have to stop is him and Dalvin Cook, or you see what happens. And now TJ Hawkinson. What I'm saying is you got the rolling on the floor emoji like it's outlandish. Buffalo gave the Vikings the game. That's facts. Gaddy says, why pretend like the Vikings are as good as their record is? I'm not pretending. Well, look, I just put it like this. It's a team. Football is a team sport. It took the entire team for us to beat the Bears last Sunday. There was no one player that won that game. That was an entire, from Hutch to Okudah to Jamal Williams to Swift to Jared Goff to Alex Anzalone. It literally was an entire team effort. So I don't see a Goliath, y'all, period, especially in the NFC. AFC, I think it's the same as usual. But let me know what y'all think. Lions, they got to split these next two games. And a month from now, be 5-8 to have any hope at that late season push. But I will tell you this. We talked about it yesterday. The players, Dan Campbell will shrug that off if he's asked about that. But I guarantee you that that is a conversation that these guys are having. All right, let me see what y'all saying. Says putting pressure on Kirk solves a lot of problems. It does. Bro, let's do this. Okay. See, sometimes I get a little like, y'all start pushing my buttons. Okay? It was a 4th down. You know why this catch is such a monster from Justin Jefferson? Aside from the fact that it was outstanding, it was a 4th down and 19. The game was over. And he throws that thing because not very many people are talking about the Stephon Diggs play because he was wide open. But he went up and got that thing too. But the way Justin caught that ball, fell down, never lost control, had it. But what's probably more shocking than that is when the play was made. All those plays together led to that win. Let's not forget about Josh and his turnovers. Lions need to start fast on Sunday and try to make the Giants pass. They do not. They do that. I love our chances. 100%. Saquon Barkley is the leading rusher in the National Football League. He averages almost 5 yards a carry, but he can break that thing. If we contain him, I think we win. Of course, we've got to watch out for Goof Troop. I've been calling Daniel Jones Goof Troop ever since he ran and fell and got tripped up by the turf. Just goofy. But that's happened to me before. Playing softball was a pitch, what is it? A relief runner. And just the gravel ate your boy up, man. And I think I was called out. A fumble snap on the 1-yard line is the only reason the Vikings won. Yeah. A failed QB sneak by Kirk Cousins is the reason they would have lost. It goes both ways, dude. Okay, listen, X, you're going to have to get up out of here, bro. You're going to have to get up out of You're going to have to get up out of here, bro. I'm not with you today. I'm not in the mood for you today. I'm not in the mood for you today. And I'm going to tell you why. Because we're promoting the Vikings like they some world beaters. When they barely, what facts are you speaking? What facts are you speaking? What facts are you speaking, bro? They're 8 and, oh my God. Y'all, listen. They have the best record in the league. No, they do not. They lost to the team with the best record in the league. Can you pay some attention? I can't stand, what are we watching here? They don't have the best record in the league because they were beat by the team with the best record in the league. And they barely beat us. Our coach gave them that game. The Vikings have been squeaking past all season long. They're not tied for the best record in the league. They don't have the best record in the league because they lost to the team with the best record in the league. I know what they did, and they still don't have the best record in the league. X, the Eagle, okay, you're an idiot, bro, and I'm going to put you in timeout for being an idiot. Can somebody please tell me why the Eagles still have the best record in the league? Is anybody out there? Can somebody who actually knows what they're talking about tell me why the Eagles still have the best record in the league? If I had the Jeopardy music, I would play it right now. I'm going to wait until somebody put it in chat so this clown can pay attention. It's funny, all these cats got stuff to say. Start a YouTube channel. Thank you. There's one, the most important one, Cameron. The Eagles beat the Vikings. So in the head-to-head, they win the tiebreaker. I don't understand these people. Listen. The Vikings are 8-1. Good for them. But are we not questioning their competition? Because I tell you what, if this was the Lions winning these games, oh, well, who did they face? The Lions are on a two-game winning streak. You know what the thing is? I even missaid it in my video the other day because I wasn't thinking. The Detroit Lions, I said the other day, the Detroit Lions have not beat a team with a winning record this season. That is a lie. They beat the Commanders in week 2. The Lions were 0-1. The Commanders were 1-0. And we beat them. So the Lions have beat a team with a winning record. And let's not forget that team, the team that we beat the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles. I hate when people start trending bias, bro. I can be very, very, very biased against Lamar Jackson. And sometimes I turn it up. I just don't think he's that good at throwing the ball. That's all. That's my bias toward. I don't think the fascination with Lamar Jackson to me is insane. Now, how can the Lions beat the Giants? They got to stop Saquon Barkley. He is their offense. Kenny Golladay means nothing. I think one of their receivers got hurt. They got some receivers. They got some defensive backs. But Daniel Jones plays well. He's a game manager. We can beat a game manager. You can say the same thing about Jared Goff. If we stop the leading rusher in the National Football League, we can beat them. They must win the turnover battle. That's facts. They won it. They won it on Sunday. Contain Jones and stop Saquon. That's facts. Dan Campbell even said it today. Said he don't do it a lot, but he'll do it when he has to, especially on third down. Sounds like to me they got a game plan. Now, I'll tell you what, if the Lions stop Saquon Barkley, that's going to be a big deal. But all they got to do is stop Saquon Barkley. And Jared Goff can't make dumb decisions. Stuff the run and get the lead. Look, Joseph, I almost rather than play from behind, bro. Almost. I remember halftime of the Dolphins game. We up. I remember during the halftime break, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm saying, we about to lose this game because we can't hold on to this. We're not going to be able to hold on to this. To a second game back. David says, do you know if Malcolm is playing on Sunday? We do not. I don't think he's on the injury report as far as out or whatever. If they can contain Fields when they need, for the most part, I think they contain Jones easily. If Wentz was cooked against our D-line, I think he's fresh meat for Hutch. Now check this out, Cam. That first part is facts, bro. But the difference, I think, between these two teams is, let's say if you substitute you substitute Justin Fields for Saquon Barkley for the sake of rushing, right? That Saquon Barkley is the leading rusher in the NFL. I saw a stat the other day that this was from another Bears channel, that Justin Fields is the leading rusher in the NFC North. Well, there you go. What's up, Ken? How you doing, man? Mr. Poole says how Malcolm is most likely playing. He was practicing. He was in practice today. Speaking of that, let's move on to what I think is some very important information. No, he wasn't contained. But what I'm saying is, what I meant, Nick, is if listen, if Saquon runs amok, but everybody else is shut down, I think we can win. Similar to how Justin Fields ran amok, but we still won. But I do believe they are one-dimensional. But one-dimensional enough to beat you, especially against our team, our defense. Now, we got some good news today. Not the news we wanted to hear, but maybe the news we needed to hear. And that is that the news coming out of Allen Park is that J-Mo is still a few weeks away, most likely after Thanksgiving. I'll tell you what, people are going to be on pins and needles. The reporter was asked, he said, you get asked about Jameson Williams every other week. My video was fantastic yesterday. The excitement regarding this man is phenomenal, but we're going to have to wait. But there were some people not seen in practice today. Jamal Williams, Josh Reynolds, Trinity Benson, Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, and Josh Pascal. Deshaun Elliott was in a red shirt, no contact jersey because he is in concussion protocol. But DJ Chark and Romeo Okwara are back, although they're officially still on IR. They have been allowed back to practice, which is the 21-day window that we've been referring to, which is why I think that they're waiting so long on Jameson Williams. Because once this went, they want the man to play, because if they didn't want him to play, they would have put him on IR. They would have been put him on IR. They know he wants to play. We know he wants to play. They want him to play, so they're trying to time this thing precisely. Now, DJ Chark will not be playing Sunday, and I highly doubt he plays on Thanksgiving. And I was hoping that the game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, we saw Josh Reynolds, DJ Chark, and Jameson Williams. And while that's still a possibility, it's a long shot. At that point in the season, we will have 6 games left. I think Jameson Williams, now based on Dan Campbell's words, is 5 or 4 games, 5 tops. But to see Romeo and DJ Chark is kind of a big deal. Exactly. Now, Romeo tore his Achilles last season, and today was the first time he was seen at practice. His 21-day window has started. Even though he hasn't lived up to much of anything this year, Romeo will make an impact on that offensive line, 100%. It's funny that our last road win, he is responsible for us winning that game. He sacked Mitchell Trubisky, and we won that game. When we sacked him, made him fumble, recovered, and we were already in the 20. Already in the red zone, Stafford, dime, touchdown, we win. So that's a big deal. Now, neither one of these guys are playing against the Giants, so we're going to have to do everything without the Giants. But Jamal Williams and Josh Reynolds, man, Taylor Decker and Frank Ragnow. Now, Frank Ragnow had a boot when he left the stadium, and word coming out of camp is that he wants to play. He wants to play against the Giants. One thing you can say, man, we got some soldiers on our team. And I'm going to tell you what, I think that we're going to see something. I think we need to see something we haven't seen. Yes, Mr. Poole says Jamal is vest red, I'm sure. Yeah, he had a day or two last week. I think this is the game we see more Swift. I really feel that, man. Which Swift will we see? Will we see early season Swift coming off of Hard Knocks, or will we see the Swift we just saw Sunday? Had a lane on the outside, took it on the inside, got tackled. And I was instantly reminded of what Deuce Staley said during Hard Knocks. So, although it wasn't the news we wanted to hear necessarily, it's good to know that DJ Chark and Romeo are on their way back, because now the clock begins, which means, ladies and gentlemen, their 21-day window, 7 is the week of the 4th. So that means that we could see them before that, but we would probably see them against the Minnesota Vikings. It's possible we could see them our first game back in December, but it's possible that they played December 11th against the Minnesota Vikings. And now, after what came out today, I think we see Jamison Williams. Man, he running out of time. Dan Campbell is running out of time, bro. I'm starting to believe that 2 to 3 games, and that's nonsense. That's nonsense. But fellas, it's looking like maybe the 11th, but most likely the 18th. So when he said he was about a month away, he lied, because we at that month right now. Romeo and Hutchinson are on the field together. That's going to be scary. I feel bad for the quarterback. Yeah, but it depends, though, Dave. That's how much of a factor is he going to be? I think he's going to be, he might work his way up to being a factor, but how much of a factor will he be at first? So we got some good news, although it wasn't the news we wanted to hear. Romeo and Chark, their 21-day window has began. So look for them. The earliest is after Thanksgiving, most likely December 11th, hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Now listen, I'm tired of waiting. I feel like my son waiting for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet drops Friday. And when I say waiting on the game, he's waiting on the game. Counting down. Right? Now, what is the possibility? What do y'all think the percentage is? Just leave it in the comments. The percentage that Jamison Williams plays against the Vikings December 11th. What percentage do you think that is? Nick says, Coach Campbell said Wednesday that he expects Williams to be designated for return from IR at some point after Thanksgiving, making Week 13 versus the Jaguars his early possible return date. And, Nick, that's only because of the 10-day window. But do you think the 10 days is enough for Jameson Williams? Do you think they'll have enough confidence in him for 10 days? Or bump it up to 17? Okay, X says 75%. KD says 80. Von D says 50. Hey, Von, that's on the fence, bro. But you allowed to be on the fence. That's an on the fence response, my man. But you on the fence, I can dig it. I can dig it. Well, right now we know with 8 games left, we know 2 of them games are out. The good news is once the 21-day window begins, it has to be within 21 days. Hungry says 49. I think he could play a limited number of snaps and routes. Man, that'll be a big game, bro. That's going to be a huge game. Because I had a thought yesterday. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Chopping it up with my man Troxel, and we chopping it up, right? And we talked about earlier in this segment the importance of the next 4 weeks. That I think the next 2 weeks are season defining. Season defining. However, the next 4 weeks, the season comes down to these 4 weeks. If by chance we win the next 2 games, it's 95%. So Orlando believes that it's based on what we do as to how quick he comes back. What if we win against the Giants and his window begins immediately? Obviously, he won't play on Thanksgiving. That'll give him 6 games. And I tell you what. And like I told y'all yesterday, man, getting me giddy. I'm giddy talking about this. Y'all know I wasn't huge on the pick at the time. Defense sucks and still does. But I've grown on this pick tremendously. I saw some weaknesses. Saw a dude break his film down and loved it. Forgot this guy's name, but most of it was glory and praise and how he will burn anybody that's behind him. Anybody, if he gets behind anybody, they're most likely toast. Nick says if they go 1-2, I think he'll play against the Vikings. Well, listen, this next 4 games is imperative. And we must split. Jameson Williams could come back anywhere between 4 and 6 games left. You know what, X? I don't think it will. Because when was that, y'all? July-ish, somewhere around there, when that video came out, that 10-second video came out of him taking off the line. And what people were saying is that he was doing a couple of things 3 months out the surgery. Dustin says he will burn anybody if the QB can get it to him. Goff doesn't have the deepest ball. That is true. I thought about that the other day. If Goff can get him the ball, will he be able to catch it in stride? That's the question. There's a play that I watch, and I haven't been able to see like the I don't know if they call it all 22 in college, but the wide view, right? And Bryce Young, this happened last year. Bryce Young takes the snap. He's in the end zone. Jameson Williams is on the line. There had to be maybe 3 or 4 seconds between the snap and when he threw the ball, all right? And Jameson Williams was so far off the line. I was like, I spent countless minutes trying to find where he was lined up. And he was just cut off the frame. But I'm like, so that means he was one place when the ball was released and another place when he caught it and he was gone. And I'm like, man, oh man. Dustin says he will burn anybody if the QB, okay, I read that one. If we go 0-3, not only will we not see Williams, we also won't see Chark. Well, I think that's whack. I think that's whack, Hungry Panda. Because I guarantee you that Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are in a lose-lose situation. Let me tell you what I mean. Jameson comes out and plays and gets hurt, loss. He came back too early. Even if the doctor says one injury didn't impact the next, Jameson Williams doesn't play, comes out next year and get hurt, loss. Oh, he's injury prone. These guys are in a lose-lose situation. I say if the doctors say he can play, put him out there. Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes are not licensed physicians. They are not trusting their word for anything. They're listening to these doctors. If the doctor says he can play, then put him out there. That's the way I look at it. I told y'all last week I broke my femur. Doctor said break 1 had nothing to do with break 2. It is very possible that he can get hurt. Same knee, same injury. One might not have anything to do with the other. That's just a risk that these guys took when they drafted him. And that's what they're going to have to take. This is a lose-lose situation if he gets hurt. And if he doesn't, then it all works out. And that's keeping it real. But all I know is I can't wait to see him on the field. And I hope that when he comes back, because he will come back, that he's playing for something. Because we've already heard that Dan Campbell and everybody else say that he needs some reps. And I don't think Jameson Williams is going to let anyone keep him out. I don't believe that 100%. All right, now I'm gonna do something here, and I don't. All right, and I don't want to cause any trouble. All right, this is not for me causing any trouble. So in the chat, I would appreciate if you don't do the same. This is about football and nothing more. Nothing more, nothing less. Nick, I believe that they are as well. People just don't. I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We're not going to be able to see until Goff actually has somebody to throw too deep. Now, I saw the pass that he threw on Sunday, and I mean, somebody said it went 47 yards. I don't know. I just win some games, man. Just win some games. All right, so again, we're going to discuss this, and I want to keep it about football because this is about football, okay? But somebody gets to come back to practice today who has not played in the NFL in over 2 years, I believe. I think the last time this guy played, he actually helped get Matt Patricia fired, and I can dig it. That's something that he did, and I must thank him for that, because without losing to the Texans on Thanksgiving Day of 2020, who knows if Matt Patricia still coach. But Deshaun Watson can return to practice today. He will not be playing in Sunday's game, but he can play. He can come back from practice today. He is available to come back and practice. Now, I've been having a conversation with a lot of people offline and during my NFL streams about what do you do in the case of Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett. Now, the Browns, they have potential. I don't know what their record is off. It's the Browns are 3-6. They're in the same division with the Ravens and the Steelers and the Bengals. Steelers are 3-6. Baltimore is 6-3. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say that he can play. They're saying that he might play against the Texans coming up. I don't know what week they play the Texans, but Deshaun Watson is back in the NFL, allowed to practice. But Jacoby Brissett has been doing a decent job. He's been doing better than I thought he was going to do. So Watson is expected to start week 13 against the Texans. That's when he's eligible to return. So he was able to come back to practice today, which is the start of week 11. He will not play week 11 and week 12. Deshaun Watson is back. Now, X, I asked you, bro. I said we were going to keep this about football, and that's what we're going to do. Do you think Deshaun Watson is going to make a difference? Nick says Brown started 3-3. Jacoby is a solid backup, but you got to start Watson. I was going to say that. Somebody is now, Nick, is it because you guaranteed him $250 million? $250 million. Every time I hear $50 million, no matter what's in front of it, I always think of Rush Hour. Or is it because he gives you the best chance to win? Get Watson for your fantasy playoffs. That might not be a bad idea because I need a backup quarterback. I'm going to have to let go of Derek Carr. Gaddy says I got Watson waiting on my bench. Nick says both. Well, somebody picked up J-Mo in my fantasy league and traded me with them, and I took it just because. Mr. Poole says this dude has to get back to game speed. He played one drive in the preseason and threw ducks. In camp, he threw a pick, what sounded like every other play. And I saw that they booed him in like one of the practices or something like that. Yes, he is on IR in my league, Gaddy, as well. I drafted Watson with my last pick. Cameron says, Brissett kept the season on life support, but you don't start him over Watson, especially if you're paying Watson much more. Okay, Cam, that's a valid point. That's a decent point. But let me ask you, let me retort. When the Cleveland Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, they guaranteed all that money. I can't speak today. You know it wasn't for this year, right? Like 100%. No matter what was happening this season, it was not for this season. So my thing is this. We talk about chemistry. We talk about Jameson Williams, how he wanted to come back to develop chemistry with the wide receivers and the starters and his quarterback. We know that he going to hand that thing to Nick Chubb. But at the same time, Jacoby Brissett is not doing a bad job, and he's got chemistry. Now, what I would do, Nick says $230 million. Wow, okay, that's what it was. Okay. All right, but if the Cleveland Browns are playing for something, do you think Deshaun Watson, who hasn't played in the NFL in a season plus at least, right? Set out all the last season. Then we had the little allegations and all that stuff, right? So he hasn't been able to play. Not the little, you know what I'm saying? He hasn't been able to play. So you just throw him back in there? All of a sudden, he just going to be Mr. On the dot? Just old school Deshaun Watson? No, Cameron, he was not allowed to even be at the facility. He can come back today, and he can return after week 12 because they gave him specifically an 11-game suspension so that he can return against his old team. Right. That's what they did. Nick says, play him. If he's bad, bench him for Jacoby. Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. So it seems unanimous that Deshaun Watson should play. I'll tell you this. Y'all got a lot of confidence for a guy that hasn't played in 2 years. Can't just sit out 2 years and come back and back the same. Thank you, crazy dude. That's what I was saying. I think Watson will be rusty for a couple of weeks. Well, Jeff, at 3-6, and they're about to take on the Buffalo Bills and probably drop to 3-7. They play the Bills this coming Sunday. Here's my philosophy. Okay, worst case scenario, right? Because I don't know if the Browns have a bye week. Nope, they haven't had it yet because they've only played 9 games, so their bye week. Wait a minute, is their bye week 12? If the Browns bye week is week 12, and they lose, that means they're 3-7. So here's my thing, and we'll wrap this segment up. Does Deshaun Watson give you a chance at making the playoffs? Because if he doesn't, if you're not in the hunt and you realistically can't make it, I play him. But if Jacoby Brissett is already vibing with the team, maybe I slowly bring in Deshaun. Maybe I do something where this is what I would do. I would probably do like a preseason type thing where I bring him in one quarter and have Brissett the second or something like that. Then teams have to game plan for both these guys. You don't know who we're going to do. Ease him in, let him come in. But just to throw him out there, he almost a rookie at this point. Almost a rookie. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And make it about football, because that's what this is about. But yeah, man, so listen, if you're listening to the show, if you're just now joining us, go back and listen to the whole thing. We hit our hour. We talked about a lot today. The Lions have a real good chance at going on a run here, but it's already started. They need to go 2-2 in these next 4 games to have a shot, be 5-8 at worst. I really could see 4-7 heading into December. And we could possibly be 5-8 in December when Jameson Williams returns. And I guarantee you it's going to be 2 different fan bases. It's going to have the people, why did he play? Sit him. We should be worried about the draft. And then it's going to be those people that say, we can do this. We might be able to go on a run with Jameson Williams. Okay, so the Browns bye week was 9. So, right, it has already passed because they played the same amount of games as the Lions. Thank you, Patty. That's what I meant to say. I was thinking that, but said something different, which means that they could be 3-8 when Deshaun Watson returns. And if that's the case, and we're not logically going to make the playoffs, then I play him 100%. If we're doing well, that we got a chance, maybe I ease him back so maybe he can show up during the playoffs. I don't know. But listen, we on tomorrow. No show Friday. We are on tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the final show before we go into New York to play the Giants, man. I think we can win that game. MG says before we get off, we are absolutely the Titans. At this point, 6-17, you are rooting for any, and when I say rooting, like somebody said in my community post yesterday, I'm not rooting for the Bears. I didn't say root for the Bears. I said this is what we need. We need a Bears win. We need a Titans win. Anybody in the NFC, really anybody in the NFC needs to lose. That's how this is. So, anyway, y'all have a great, great Wednesday, and I will see you tomorrow.